Many men face obstacles and challenges while they are on their journey of self-improvement. And some of them complain. Some of them even quit because of these challenges. But that's the whole point of self-improvement. The whole point of being on this journey of doing all these things to improve yourself is so that you can overcome these obstacles that you face every single day. That's what makes it meaningful in the first place. I mean, imagine if you were given a task and you could cheat off of that task. You could just search it up and you can finish it without doing anything. What do you learn from that? You don't learn anything. And that's the same thing with self-improvement. If you're looking at it as like a task, as really just something to do, as like a check mark in the book, then you're not going to learn anything. You have to make it meaningful to you. You have to put some effort into it and not look at it as just some busy work that you can do throughout the week to, I don't know, waste time. Because if you are, once again, if you are looking at self-improvement like that, then you just shouldn't bother doing it in the first place. And for many of us young men, we change our lives or how we live our lives because of some unfortunate circumstance or occasion. For me, it was my family. Now, I won't reveal too much, just to keep them private, but it wasn't so much them pushing me to be better, but really it was more of me pushing myself because I wanted them to be proud of me, right? That's kind of why I started this whole YouTube channel and my whole journey in the first place, because one, I wanted to make my parents proud, but two, I didn't want to be dependent on them too much. Because growing up, my mother and my father had a very good relationship with me, and we'd always, have time to go out and play on the weekends and just have fun. But now I'm beginning to realize that if I cling on too tight to them, if I keep relying on them as like my main source of strength, then that's not going to work out in the future. And we all know that. Because, eventually they're going to leave you. Right? Eventually you're going to be alone in this world, and they will only be a memory carried on by you. Right? Like imagine this is like a graph of their life. Right? This is their life from the beginning to the end. Right? You come in maybe somewhere around here. This is your timeline. This is theirs, and you come in somewhere during this. Right? Something like this. So you spend maybe half your life with them, maybe even less. And then once it reaches the point where they have to leave and they leave you behind, you're on your own, right? That's just you. The rest of your life is you. Many of us aren't going to get the chance, our parents aren't going to get the chance to see their great-grandchildren, right? And I don't really know why I said that, but just think about it. Right? Relying on others isn't really a sign of weakness, but when you're dependent on them, when they're the only thing that pushes you forward, imagine what would happen if they all of a sudden left. In a sense, my videos are a way for me to express myself, because I found that it loosens me up. It makes me feel easier whenever I express my thoughts to other people on camera. But once again, going back to the whole, people going through struggles in self-improvement, that's normal. That's completely normal. Like me, myself, I'm still kind of struggling on it. I'm not improving that much every single day. I'm trying to, but I will be honest, this last week, I have not been productive at all. And I will admit that. And I don't mind if you guys criticize me, because I am doing the same. But sometimes we just need a reality check, right? We just need to be told, you're not doing good enough. You're not doing enough for yourself. And that's normal. And I know how difficult it can be sometimes when you have to push yourself to see yourself positively. When you have to constantly do these hard things just to gain the approval of other people. But that's kind of the whole point of self-improvement, is it not? You pushing yourself to be a better person. But there's also that side of extreme. Right? So there's you're not doing enough, you're not doing anything, and then there's you doing too much. And let me explain by what you're doing too much means, right? Imagine telling a toddler to go to high school, to learn high school level math, to like go to the gym. That's ridiculous. This is concept that us men are really only born when we start working on something that's meaningful to us. That's something that's actually worth our time. And that's exactly this concept, right? I have started maybe a year ago, not even a year. So according to this concept, I'm not even a 1 year old. And I'm pushing myself way too hard. Like I'm telling myself, I want to do all these things in one day that really, realistically, I would never be able to manage. I would never be able to juggle that many things around. Working on something that's meaningful to you, that could be going to the gym, that could be reading, that could be meditating, that could be doing some small thing so that in the future your life will be better, will be easier to live. And really, the problem with progressing too much is that you're focused too much on the destination, you're focused too much on where this will take you in the end. When really you should be focused on the journey. You should be focused on what you're doing every single day, because that's what makes up your final destination. It's not about the destination, right? You've heard this plenty of times. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. And that's true for many reasons. Because when you're only looking at the final, when you're looking at your final grade for like the first semester of school, right? When you're only looking at that and you're not worrying about, the homework that you do every day, the textbooks that you read, when you're not worrying about those little details that make up that final kind of event, it doesn't really matter, because in the end you don't learn anything. And that's the problem, because people are progressing way too much. They're forgetting about really what this whole journey is about. They're only looking at it as just something to do, right? As a check mark. They're looking at it like that, and that's the problem. You need to start looking at self-improvement like in a way it will help your future. Decide whether you want to spend your time doing something you hate. If you want to do that, then go ahead. But if you're actually trying to use self-improvement to your advantage, and you're trying to use it so that your future will be easier and more successful, then don't rush it. Take it slow. And when these hard times reach you, when you don't feel like being productive at all, you use coping mechanisms, right? Maybe for you, it's doing random things. It's not doing anything. It's just sitting around scrolling through social media. But for me, it's watching YouTube. Like, I watch YouTube every single day, right? And it's like these hour-long videos. So I would think, I tell myself that, oh, I'm training my attention span. I'm like reducing the amount of dopamine because I'm not scrolling on social media. I'm telling myself all these excuses, and chances are you do too. And that's normal. We tell ourselves excuses so that we feel better about ourselves, obviously. When we do something, like when you go jerk off, when you told yourself no more, right? When you go watch porn, when you said no more porn, you tell yourself all these things. You're saying, like, for example, maybe, oh, it's a coping mechanism. I'm stressed. It's anxiety. You're telling yourself all these things when you know deep down they're not true, and that's hurting you a lot. But for me, like, I'm aware of how much damage is causing me. I'm aware of the fact that this is going to slow down my self-improvement journey substantially. But yet, I'm still doing it. I'm still watching YouTube videos every single day. And, I'm ashamed of myself as well. And that no excuses can make up for it. And I'm aware that this video has been all over the place. It's been jumping through topics like it's nothing. But I sincerely hope that you find at least some parts of this video useful to you, and that maybe you can relate to me. Maybe you're going through the same thing as I am, and perhaps we'll both come out on top against everyone else, against all odds. We'll be the top 90% of men. This topic is way too broad to cover in one video, so I'll definitely be making more along the way. So if you want to stay and watch some more, then check out my introduction video if you haven't yet. I know it's pretty shitty, not much quality went into that, but yeah, That's about all. Stay safe, stay different.